In this presentation, I will review the second step of the curriculum development project, which is defining the program goals. And for this step, you will create a list of statements that identify what students will be able to do when they have completed your entire program, or what you hope they'll be able to do. Much like the national standards definition of a physically literate child, you'll develop a list of goals that would identify what a student or an athlete should look like when they have gone through your entire program. And these statements should cover the broad expected ability of the students or athletes in your program. Your goals should cover the big overall picture and not the specific details of your program. Also, keep in mind that your goals should address all of the different games, sports, skills, and activities that you teach or coach throughout your entire program. This means that your goals will cover all of elementary school curriculum, K through 5, middle school, 6 through 8, and high school, 9 through 12. It must also encompass the behavioral or social domains, which are really including the affective domain for physical education or kinesiology, psychomotor, cognitive, and affective domains. So all of these will be addressed. Once you begin this step, you'll see how quickly you can create an extensive list of goals that you might want to address throughout your program. Again, these goal statements you're developing are for your entire program, not just one component of it. So brainstorm and begin to create a list of ideas and topics that you feel you can realistically cover throughout your program. Think about all the different things that you want your students to know and do. A good approach to this is to first write down the learning domains that you're expected to address in your program. Of course, these are psychomotor, cognitive, and affective. Then, create a list of all the things you want your students or athletes to be able to do within each one of these domains. For example, in the psychomotor domain, you may want to create a list of skills that fall into this category, such as catching, throwing or passing, dribbling, jumping rope, manipulating a hockey stick, and so on. These are just some of the actual physical skills you may want to address in your program. And you'll do the same for the cognitive domain, something like learning strategy, demonstrate the concepts of offensive and defensive skills, demonstrate the understanding of the rules, explain how the cardiovascular system works, or understand the muscles at work when performing a fitness skill. If it's something you want the students to understand, to learn, and to know cognitively, you should include it in this list of goals. Then for the affective domain, you may want to list things such as appreciate physical fitness, develop social skills, problem solve, learn conflict resolution, engage in sports or exercise outside of school, among several other things that you can list here. And as you complete this process, you'll have a list of topics and areas that you can work with. You can then begin to edit this list and select the topics you really want to use to create your goal statements. Now, to make your goal statements, you have to make them student or athlete focused. So they should all begin with the phrase, all students will be able to, or all athletes will be able to. Then you're going to develop a goal statement from the list you made within each domain. For teachers, if you were developing a goal statement for the psychomotor domain, since this is addressing physical skills, one of our goals can say, all students will be able to catch and throw a variety of manipulatives with proper form and accuracy. This is a nice, broad, and general statement we can use for one of our program goals. Of course, now you can't use this one in your curriculum because I just stated it. If you do, we'll just say you plagiarized. Now, from your cognitive domain list, you can develop a goal to say all students will be able to identify the muscles of the body used in performing a 90-degree angle push-up. And you can pull from your list of effective topics and develop a goal statement that states all students will be able to demonstrate different ways of resolving conflict during team activities. Now, for coaches, you will use a similar technique to develop your goal statements for each domain as well. A coaching psychomotor domain may focus on a sports-specific skill, such as the athlete will be able to effectively field and throw a ground ball with speed and accuracy. Now, there may be various techniques and different coaching tips used to teach how to field a ground ball, but the overall end result or expectation is the same. Do it correctly, do it with speed, and do it with accuracy. A cognitive goal may be understand the need and purpose of using a zone or a man-to-man defense. And lastly, an affective domain could state display good sportsmanship during and after gameplay, whether winning or losing. And these are just some examples of how you can develop your goal statements that address all of the different things you want your students or athletes to be able to do by the end of your program. Again, develop your own. Do not use the ones listed here in this example. Each student will create 6 goal statements individually, making sure you have 2 goal statements per domain. And after you've completed your 6 goals, you'll collaborate with your curricular team and then select a final list of 10 that you're going to use to include into your curriculum. But before you collaborate with your team, you must create 3 rationale statements for each one of your goals. And these rationale statements should provide 3 justifiable reasons why each one of your goals is important enough to include in your program. Now, if you're having trouble coming up with 3 different realistic rationale statements or reasons, you may want to rethink your goal statement. So let's take a look at an example from one of the goals we just created. Goal number 1, catch and throw a variety of manipulatives with proper form and accuracy. We need to justify this statement and provide reasons why we think it's important enough to include in our curriculum. So our first rationale statement may say something like this: catching and throwing are the basic skills that can also transfer into many other activities. Rationale statement number 2, catching and throwing can be done at home, encouraging participation in lifetime physical activities. And rationale number 3, catching and throwing are skills that will help with participation on a sports team and club programs and even for recreational enjoyment. So you'll continue to develop 3 rationale statements for each individual goal you've developed. And you can see that once this is done, you're going to have an extensive list of items. And this is fine. Remember, you're developing a curriculum to utilize personally and professionally. You're not just completing an assignment. I'm hoping that you make some practical application to this. Also, keep in mind that this is not a full list of all the goals that can be developed. I've limited this, but in a full curriculum, you would have much more. Lastly, you will focus on the consensus building technique to rank the goals that you have. The textbook provides a good explanation of this process, so be sure you read and follow those guidelines. But basically, you're going to create a chart to identify this ranking process, and you can duplicate the goal ranking worksheet found in the text. You will list the 10 goals that you have in no particular order at the top of the chart. You'll also list the names of everyone in your group, and then you'll have each group member independently rank the goals in order of importance. And this ranking needs to be done individually without discussing the order with other students or other curricular team members. So you're going to provide a true unbiased ranking. And this is where Google Docs or Dropbox can come in handy for you. So be sure you look into some of those. Once this is done, you will have an average, or you'll have to average the results. So you'll add the number or the order of each goal, and then you'll divide that by the number of team members you have to give you your final average ranking of all the goals. So once you have this list, you'll complete this and post this with your completed Step 2 assignment. For future steps, remember to rearrange your goals to reflect the correct order of importance. You'll select one group member to post the completed list of goals in the rank order, and remember to include the names of all the group members. So you'll submit your final individual 6 goals with your rationale statements, and then one person from your group will submit the final 10 goals with the ranking chart. So there's a lot to get done. Remember, plan ahead, ask questions if you have them. As usual, please contact me. Take care, and we'll see you online.